Hello fellow paranormalers, today is still the 5th of December 2014. I'm doing a series of shorter videos. I know I've made some really long videos and I tend to waffle a lot. The subject, I've actually got a list. The subject is editing the EVP sessions, the audio files. Okay, I'd like to know, and I'd be very, very curious about how other people edit their files, okay? The reason for this is because I use several pieces of software. I use Adobe Audition. I use, it's an old version, CS3. I use Acoustica Premium, which is a piece of software that I actually paid money for, and I use it for, you know, sort of business audio and such like, which I find is actually probably the best software that I use. And at times I also use the free one, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It will come to me. So when I'm editing normal digital audio recorder software, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem ever editing, and that's still my number one preferred method of, you know, communicating to spirits. It's just literally digital recorder. I probably don't get as much communication that way as I do with maybe the SB7 or using EchoVox, but you know, it's pretty much up there. It's my preferred method because you don't have lots of noise, and you know, I can communicate quite, you know, simply. The drawback with that, of course, is that you don't hear anything. Okay, sometimes I have earphones in when I'm using those recorders, and sometimes the EVPs are loud enough that you can actually hear them. So, you know, but that is my number one preferred, and for that I tend to use Acoustica or Adobe Audition. When I'm recording SB7, I'm struggling. You know, I can listen to it. I think what drives me crazy is the noise, the level of white noise that's going on. Absolutely amazing to get so many EVPs coming through, and you do, you know, some come through really, really loud, and you know, they're very easy to pick up and identify. Some come through one on top of the other. Sometimes they speak together. I've had that quite a number of times. Sometimes they speak when I'm speaking, when I'm actually asking. You know, very often they're there. They're jumping in straight away with the answer before I've actually finished. They're usually pretty easy to pick up. The EVPs that are usually very low and very quiet, they're the hardest. Now, when I'm editing files, Audacity, that's the name of the other software. I think pretty much everyone uses Audacity. Absolutely amazing program, but it has its limitations. So I tend to really stick with Acoustica. But editing EchoVox and editing SB7 audio files, recordings, I've given up the EchoVox and the GB1, you know, using their own software to record, because it's just garbage. To me, I don't get anything. It's just absolute garbage. I don't know whether it's because it's not writing the audio files properly or something, but you know, it's just not worth it. So I stick with using Zoom H1 or Zoom H4n. When I'm editing those files, you know, I spend a lot of time going backwards and forwards, repeating, slowing down, reversing, you know, to try and get these EVPs to come out. Now, I know you can use noise removal, and, you know, you can do that on samples of little samples of a track where there's, you know, just literally white noise. The problem I find with that is that it gets rid of sometimes it lowers the low-level EVPs, the quiet EVPs, even quieter, and they're harder. And of course, once you've removed the noise and you try to listen to the EVP, amplify it, you know, you're editing it in that state, then it almost becomes unusable, you know. So I'm actually really, that's how I edit, that's my workflow. And I've looked at other people's workflow, like for instance the workflow used by the chap that designed the Echo Box, and I found his workflow quite useful, but I'm wondering whether anyone's got any really good tips on their workflow on editing session, you know, editing an audio session and how that is working for them, you know. Because sometimes, like for instance, I listened to a gentleman this morning who edited, I think he's an audio engineer actually, and he's probably got some amazing tools that he uses and methods, and I might actually even email him directly and ask if he would share his editing, you know, workflow, because getting rid of the white noise, I'm finding it difficult, and the kind of repetitive, you know, the 200 millisecond or 150 millisecond, you know, that kind of noise. There's got to be a way of getting rid of that without destroying too much of the background EVP communication that's coming through. So if you could share your workflow or how you edit your EVP sessions, I'd really welcome that. And you know, if you don't mind sharing it, or if you don't want to share it and you want to send me a private message, then do that through YouTube. It's fine. But I'm just really curious as to how people edit their files, and some people are like me, you know, it's kind of a midway clean recording. Some people don't edit them at all, they just put them up as they are. You hear all the noise and you really have to listen hard with a pair of headphones to get the EVPs. I don't know whether maybe that is the best way of doing it. I don't know. But anyway, if you can or would like to participate, then please do, and I look forward to speaking to you again in another video.